Hey guys, it's RBB. We're going to call this Maya 5.5 because the last video that I just did about beveling and adding edge loops, I just went on forever and ever, but I'm going to do it again. And this one's going to be quick and succinct. And if you want to hear all the great stories about the normal people and stuff like that, you got to go back and watch the longer one. But here you go. Let's make this quick. All right, what do we do when we open Maya? Of course, we set our project. So set project. YouTube practice set. Okay, so we're going to look at how to make our CG objects or 3D objects look better. When these render and you see them in video games and on screen and whatever, they look too perfect. They look too CG. And that's because nothing in the real world has these flat edges that ends perfectly at an edge, like 100% zero. It just doesn't happen. Even the sharpest ceramic knife has a bevel to it, and even if it's microscopic. So being able to bevel these edges and make them not mathematically perfect is going to make your stuff just look that much better. What beveling does is it takes an edge. Remember, we have faces, edges, and vertices. It takes the edge and it will split the difference between itself and the next edge. So there's an edge and there's an edge. When I bevel this one, okay, the bevel's going to wind up being here and here. Let me just show you. I'm going to grab an edge, grab this edge right here, and in the modeling toolkit, I'm going to choose bevel. Okay, and you can see it split the difference between that edge that was out here. It split the difference this way and this way, and it beveled the edge. Okay, it chopped off the edge. Now that's pretty excessive, and if that's what you're trying to go for, if you're making, I don't know, an ice machine or something, then maybe that's great. But probably you don't want that big a bevel. To lessen that, there's a couple different ways. One is when the polybevel tool shows up, you can lower the fraction either by hovering over the word fraction, left click, and dragging it side to side to change the amount, or you can click on the amount right here. And let's say I do 0.02. Okay, then it's a nice small little bevel. Okay, now this object will look better in the real world, with lighting and stuff, and it will look less CG. Now that's still a pretty big, sharp bevel, but let me show you a couple other things we can do. I'm going to grab another edge. We grab an edge here. Okay, if we grab an edge and we bevel it, we can make this number smaller again. I'm going to say 0.02 again, but this time I'm also going to, let me zoom in on this. I'm also going to change the segments. Now this just divided it into one division, but if I want to give this multiple segments, again, you can put in the number or you can hover over the word segment, left click and drag, and it will divide that. Now, the more divisions, the smoother that transition is. But again, it's more, I'm adding polygons every time I do it, which makes this more complex. And if I don't need it to be more complex, don't do it. So if that's enough, if 3 segments is enough, then that's great. Then this is a nice fall off on this edge. It's less CG and fake looking while still being a nice tight cube. Okay, so that bevel is very helpful. Now you may ask, well, yeah, but if I'm going to do one edge at a time, can I just bevel them? Can I bevel like the whole top? Certainly. So this face has 4 edges. And if I want to bevel this whole top, I'm going to select these 4 edges. Okay, I've got all 4 of them selected. Now, knowing that it's going to split the difference between this edge and the next edge it runs into, it's going to bevel right through the middle. Like, watch this. It's going to be way too big. Chunk. Okay, way too big. If we want this to be less, then we just can change the fraction just like we did before. I think I'll put 0.02 again, maybe give it an extra little segment, and now that's great. We did the whole top of something. Now, if you can't see it, if the camera can't see an edge or can't tell, like we can't really tell with this edge, the camera can't see it, don't bother, because we're adding more complexity to our object, even if it's just, it went from 6 faces, and every time we do this, we're adding 4 and 4. So we've added 8 more faces just by adding this little bevel. If the camera can't see it, like over here, if the camera can't see it, don't do it, because it's just going to slow down your render. No matter how infinitesimally, it will all add up. Okay, now you may say, RBB, can I bevel the whole thing? Why, yes, you can. I hit my R for scale this up. I'm going to, I like, as I've told you before, I like to right click to get to my components. You can do that, right click and choose edge, or do it from the modeling toolkit. And I'm going to marquee select all the edges because remember, Maya sees this, right? So if I marquee select, I've got them all. They're all selected. Now, when I say bevel, it'll sort of split the difference between all the sides. And I can lower the fraction, do all the things I just did, up the segments. And now this object is going to look a lot less CG and, crappy edges than it's straight out of the box. But it has to be worth it because every time we add faces and complexity, it slows down our render, even if it's a tiny bit. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple of other ways to make some of these bevels and divisions. All right, we learned the other day, if we know what we're making, okay, if we know we're making a tabletop or we know we're making a Queen Anne chair, whatever it is, we know that in the attribute editor, we can come over here as soon as the object is born. First, we're going to name it, say this is going to be a chair. I don't really know, but we can go over here to the third tab before I've done anything to it, and I can change subdivisions. Okay, I can change and give it as many divisions as I want to. Now we went from 6 to 54, right? I had 6 sides, 6 faces. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 6, which is 54, right? So it doesn't look any different. And if we render this, this doesn't look any different than this, but this has, I think, 14 sides and this has 54. So every one of these faces is going to send out information for Maya to render along the normal. If you want to learn about normals, go back and watch the longer video. But each face has a normal that talks to the camera. And so I'd rather have 6 people or 14 people telling me what to do, not 54. Okay, so we can add those divisions here, but let's say we don't or we didn't. So I'm going to bring these guys back down, back to 1. So he's born like this. And we just want to add, we want to bevel, but I don't want it to bevel in half. You can also add edge loops. Now the edge loops, remember, are like, this is an edge loop. They're like a rubber band around it, like people trying to explode a watermelon. Okay, it's a rubber band. It goes all the way around in one continuous loop, and it splits everything into 4-sided faces. Great. Okay, that edge loop right there, maybe if I want this top part to bevel, I want to bevel it, but I don't want it to split between here and here. That's too far. So I could keep adding more divisions until I get a line closer to the top, like there. Okay, now if I bevel this top edge, it's only going to bevel between there and this edge. But look at all these extra faces I made for no reason. We don't want to do that. I'm going to go back to just adding 1 division. Okay, so we've got this separate edge loop here. Now, if I go to my edges, I can double click on this edge loop to grab the whole loop. Boop, boop. Okay, and it grabbed the loop all the way around. You can always check and see. Yes, select it all the way around. Now, if I hit W for the move widget, okay, I can move this up. So now it's going to be like a bumper. And this edge, if I grab this edge now, the edge around the top here, and bevel it, it's going to stop right there because it's basically got like a little bumper. Okay. So as I'm modeling, I may want to throw in these little edge stops. Say I'm doing the hood of a car or a spaceship or some kind of metal panel. And the hood of the car is basically one great big face. But near the end, there might be some bevel or bending parts and fall off edges. Rather than adding a zillion divisions, I'm only going to add the divisions or the bumpers kind of where I want them to be to help kind of control the bevel. So as you're modeling, you're thinking ahead, looking at what it is you're planning on doing, and try to model as efficiently as possible. It takes a long time to go back and clean things up, and we don't. Time is money. We don't want to waste our time. Okay. So looking at my little key over here, I can see that I'm actually upside down in the world, which is not a big deal because these are all cubes, but just to show you. Okay, I'm looking at my little key right there, and I can see now that I'm right side up. Okay, I can also see top. All right, let's look at another way to add an edge loop. Because here's my little guy that was just born right here. Once an object is born, if I do something to it, like bevel or extrude or anything like that, and I change its basic born shape, Maya, it gets confused as to what it is anymore. So if I go back to my attribute editor, that tab that was third in line is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in line. And watch what happens if I try to change the subdivisions now. Okay, Maya throws up all over itself because it doesn't understand, like, well, wait, what happened to my sides? Okay, so once I've done something to it, or if I've moved it off the origin and changed its shape and things like that, I can't use this tab anymore. And it's quite possible this tab will eventually just gray out or go away because it's broken at this point, right? So let's say I've gone ahead and made these changes and I can't use this tab anymore to add these divisions. So how do we add divisions? If I want to add a bumper now, like say for this top guy here, what I can do is there's a couple ways to do this. There's an old school way where we're just going to basically throw in an edge loop, like a rubber band. Like I've got a bag of rubber bands and I'm going to plop them around in whatever direction I want them to go. Now, there's no way to know where this tool is. If you forget, you just wind up looking for it. But because we've got mesh, edit mesh, mesh tools, and mesh display. Well, what is it that we're trying to do to the mesh? We're not making a mesh. We are changing the mesh, a mesh tool. We're not changing the way it's displayed, maybe mesh tools. And this is where it happens to live, but I forget sometimes too. What I'm looking for is insert edge loop. Okay, so insert edge loop lives here in mesh tools. It's not in mesh or edit mesh or anywhere else. It's in mesh tools. Insert edge loop. This is kind of an old school tool. When I click on this, it automatically turns blue because it's in component mode. And you'll see that right there, it gave me a hint and it said control drag on edges to add loops. Okay, so if I click in the middle of a face, it's not going to do anything because it just told me click and drag on an edge. Okay, so here's an edge. Click. Oh, there's like this little ghost rubber band. And I can move my mouse around to decide, or my cursor around to decide where I want this edge to be. Okay, and the reason it's going in this configuration around is because I chose that edge. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that. If I choose this edge, okay, it's going to go around that way. If I choose this edge, it's going to go around that way. Okay, so this is the one I want, and I can put it wherever I want it to go. So maybe I want to put it way up here. And now I've added the only division I need. And for whatever reason, maybe I need one right here as well, but I don't need one everywhere else. That's good enough. Now this tool is a little tricky. When you're done making edge loops, you have to hit the letter Q for like quit making edge loops. Otherwise, it's going to be stuck in that tool. And every time you click, it's going to add more edge loops. Okay, so if it does that, you're freaking out, just hit Q. Like that's true for any tool. If it won't stop doing it, hit Q for quit. So now that I've made that edge loop, I can grab my edges. Don't forget that little tiny guy there, and grab my edges. Not you. Okay, and I could bevel them. All right, so easy peasy. Okay, that's another way to add edge loops. Now, as you get more advanced, and this may be more than you want to deal with right now, but as you get a little bit more advanced, you can also basically draw your own edge loops. This tool that's right here, okay, everybody likes a little icon, right? This little tool that's right here is called the multi-cut tool. And what it does is it will allow you to basically drop a vertice and make an edge anywhere you want. Now, that's very easy to screw up. Let's do it easy way. So I'm going to choose the multi-cut tool. I've got this little art shiv here. If I click on an edge, it's going to give me a vertice, right? And I can draw my way around this geometry. And I don't even have to go in a straight line. Like I can just say, it's still a rubber band, right? It's still going all the way around. Boop. Close, close, close. Did you not close? Close, close. There we go. So now it's an edge loop. It's a crazy rubber band, but it works, right? We still have four-sided faces. It's not really very good modeling, but it works. So this will let me screw up. So if I control Z a couple of times and I just cut it right here, well, that's not really that big a deal, except for now, instead of having four-sided faces, when I break it with the vertice right there, it makes this space into this edge and this edge. Okay? So we've broken the feng shui. We've funged up the shui of edge loops. So if you use this tool later on, you want to make sure it'll even let you make them in crazy places. Like I could put one right here if I want to. Like, there you go. I'm just going to cut it wherever I want to. There is a reason, there's a method to the madness, because if I have complex geometry and I'm trying to make edge loops like around the mouth of a figure or to fix a pole like on the top of a cylinder, that is how you would do it, is with this guy right there. Okay, so I'm going to Control Z and undo those guys. Okay, add those edge loops. When I'm done, I'm going to hit Q. So that's an easy way to add in edge loops to add complexity where we need to. And in our next video, we're going to use these techniques to go on to the next awesome skill, which is extruding. And that one's going to be a video all in itself. But yeah, if you want to hear all about normals and edge loops and everything else and hear me ramble for a little while, go watch the longer one. This is the short version. All right, you guys, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.